All right, guys, my name is Britten McDowell. Appreciate you guys joining us on this training webinar. I want to congratulate each and every one of you first because you have made the decision to be proactive to for whatever reason, to join Zeeks International, be a part of this organization, and to begin making some major changes in your life, and that is something to definitely be commended. Appreciate all of you for your commitment. Appreciate you for giving me some of your time tonight. To be able to share with you some things that I wish I would have known when I started my business. You know, these are things I didn't learn until a year and a half in. And we've been able, in the last 3.5 years, be able to really make some major runs and some big things happen in this company. And it's all on these principles that I'm going to share with you tonight. And, one of the first things I'm going to tell you as we get in here, this is a people business. You got to be able to talk to your people. You got to be able to get people into the, in front of the information. That's the most important thing. And so we're going to talk about the specific steps of that tonight. Before we get into the peak, I want to make sure to give you a couple, pointers, reminders, things like this. The first is that your list needs to be on paper. It needs to be classified. You need to have, and what I mean by that, you have some classifications on there. It needs to be a living document that you're continually adding people to. Go through your cell phone, through the Facebook, go through the local news or the local phone book and see who you know, who you have any type of connection with. You may think of somebody that leads you to a few more people, and that's always something that's powerful to do that. So, work on that. You also have to have a strong why for doing this business. And your approach is going to vary from person to person. It's going to vary based on their age, based on a few things. But we're going to teach you something that's very simple, some very simple questions to ask to help you do that, to go with them. And you'll be able to have somebody pegged and know the best, the most efficient approach just by talking to them and asking them some questions. Make sure you have your list done. Make sure that you have a very strong why. Your why is going to be what's going to motivate you, it's what's going to push you, it's what's going to drive you to be working this business when things are tough, because it's not going to be rainbow, sunshine, unicorns, and butterflies all the time. You're going to have some ups and downs. You're going to have some difficulties, and when that happens, you got to make sure that you're grounded. You got to have something that's going to cause you to give you the fuel to charge forward, and that's what the why is for. All right, so looking at the peak, we got to look at the numbers of the game first. If you talk to 10, you get 1. So that means if we're going to have a goal of 2 a day, that's 10 a week, that's 40 per month. If you are terrible at this business and you talk to 40, you're going to get 4. Bottom line, that's doing everything completely wrong. If you talk to 40, you get 4, doing it wrong. We're going to show you some skills to help you be able to improve that. But one of the things you got to know, you have to be consistent. You can't talk to 10 people in a day. You got to talk to 2 people a day so that you can follow up with 2 people a day. The consistency comes in the numbers, and what you lack in skill, you make up for with numbers. Now, everybody, I've had the privilege of, I believe, of being on the phone with everybody that's on here. I think I've met you all at least over the phone, if not in person. A couple of you guys I haven't met in person. But I'll tell you, this business is not a matter of skill. It's a matter of will. Will you do the little things to be successful? Will you do the things that it takes to grow your business? Will you discipline your disappointments? Will you be consistent in your activities? Will you push hard on the front end to get you your first 2 to get qualified, to take advantage of the compensation plan and everything that we have going? So here's why the peak is so important. Good, bad, or ugly, whatever you do duplicates. How you bring someone into the business is how they will bring someone into the business. If you have a sense of urgency and you're excited and you want to do it now, they'll have a sense of urgency, be excited, and want to do it now. If you're laid back, then they're going to be laid back, which might be a problem, for some of the people that I personally enroll, because I'm not jacked up, let's do this right now. I'm kind of a let you come at it at your own pace and, do it kind of guy. And so, whatever you do is what they do, but they will not do it as well or as often as you do. So, what we do in moderation, our children do in excess. So if you're not, just completely anal all the way down to following the system when recruiting, your people will be complete. If you're loose with it, they won't do it at all. If you're pretty good about it, they might do it half the time. So just understand that. and that's just the reality of things. Most people stray from the recipe, and they are shocked. I mean, shocked, just befuddled, confused, lost when they don't get the desired result. They don't know what to think about that when they get a different product than what they're expecting when they change the recipe. Now, good, bad, or ugly, everything duplicates. You begin training your new distributors when you begin prospecting and recruiting them, because how you do it is how they will do it. So don't be shocked if you don't follow the recipe. Don't be shocked if you don't get the desired result. I had a girl that I sponsored into the business, and she was all gung-ho, fired up, excited, and everything else. And she said, well, I pretty much did what you told me to do. I go, really? She goes, yeah, I pretty much did what you told me to do. And I'm like, let's apply that concept to a novel idea of, shall we say, boiling water or putting out a fire. I pretty much put out the fire. I don't understand it. Why did the house burn down? I pretty much put out the fire. Well, you didn't put it all the way out. Mm-hmm. Well, I pretty much followed the recipe to boil water. I took the pot and I put it on the stove, and I turned the burner on, but the water didn't boil. You didn't put the water in the pot. Well, I took the jug of water that I bought at Walmart, and I put it on the stove and turned the stove on, and the water didn't boil. It went everywhere. Well, you didn't put it in the pot. So pretty much following things does not guarantee you success. You have to follow it to there. Next, less is more. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. When someone says, what is it to say? I don't have time to talk about it right now. Check this out, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. It does not take a huge speech or a spiel or a shtick. It doesn't take that to pique people's interest. You just got to ask them questions. You just got to listen to them. Don't worry about telling your story, because if you're starting out in this business, you don't have a story. That's why this business is about telling other people's story. Nobody wants to hear you talk about you. We want to keep it system simple. Ask the questions, pass the information. Some questions you might ask is, Kevin, do you value your health? Now, you tell me right now how someone can say no to that question, because we all know that health is the first wealth. Now, here's the next thing I don't understand. I don't understand. We ask questions sometimes we don't know the answers to. I learned this from teaching for a long, long time, that I have to make sure that I only ask questions I know the answers to. And that makes things predictable. So we ask some of these questions. We ask questions that people can't say no to, and we know they're going to say yes. If you can earn more money, would it benefit your family? Well, who's going to say no to that? Are you open to some information? If they said yes to the first two questions, they're going to say yes to the third question. They get on a roll. Now, and this last question here is very important. When can you look at it? Because if we're talking and it's Thursday night at 10 o'clock, and I say, hey, when can you take a look at this? And they go, well, I can look at it tonight. I say, great. Let's talk about it tomorrow. What's best, afternoon or evening? I've given them now. I am booking a meeting from a meeting, because I'm not going to pass them the information until I know when we're going to talk about it. Because after I pass them the information, I'm cutting all contact until I confirm the appointment 30 minutes beforehand. Other questions I like to ask about this, to prospect with, do you keep your income options open? If you can make more money doing pretty much what you're doing already every day, would you be open to it? If I could show you a way, would you? Now, if I could show you a way, would you, is my number one way of overcoming objections. Well, Britten, I'd like to do something else right now, but I just don't have time. Well, Larry, if I could show you a way that you have time to do this, would you take a serious look? Well, I don't have the money to get started. If I could show you a way to get started where money wouldn't be an issue, would you take a serious look? Well, I'm not a salesman. If I could show you a way that it's not about sales, would you take a look? Very simple. It's just, whatever their objection is, if I could show you a way that it's not about or that it's not this, would you take a look? Well, I've heard about those things. They're a pyramid scheme. Well, if I could show you a way that it's not a pyramid scheme, that this is legitimate, would you take a look? It'll eliminate 99.9% of the objections people throw at you. Now, after we have piqued curiosity, we are going to pass them to the information. And this is the number one thing here that we make a mistake is people think this is sales and they must know their product, and that's malarkey. This is not sales. You do not have to know your product. Thou shall not be a tool. It's your job to use one. Now, what are tools? What tools do we have? What are there? What do you have that you can access? Well, it's very, very simple. You go to excellenceelite.com. Hit the information and tools button, or information and video button. There, right there in front of you, are some of your tools. A wellness and success newsletter, a Success from Home magazine, a pamphlet, a sizzle call, anything that will tell people something about Zija that's not you talking is a tool. And to master this business, you have to master tools because tools are consistent. They say the same thing every time. Whether you're in a good mood, whether you're in a bad mood, they're exactly the same. And anybody can give somebody else a tool to teach them about what they're doing. It's just an easy way for you not to have to be the expert. As we make the pass, have a follow-up time set up. That's book the meeting from a meeting. This allows you to get someone other than you lined up that when you follow up with your prospect, you get someone else lined up to tell their story and answer their questions. Now, the three-way call is the most important thing that we have to do. We're going to talk about that next in the plug. Once you have got the meeting followed up, we then pass the information, and then we do not talk to the prospect until the follow-up. Now, we might text the prospect 30 minutes before the follow-up, say, hey, this is a business. I'm stepping away from my family. Have you had a chance to look? Are we good to talk in 30 minutes? I like to do that. If they don't respond, it tells me more than likely that they're not interested. It kind of helps me sort my people a little bit. But we want to do that because if you pass them the information, they text you a question right off the bat, and they say, well, how's this work? If you fall into the time vampire trap where you start answering questions, they become time vampires. And they are wasting your time, and they are keeping you from peaking and passing more people. So once you pass, don't answer a question until it's time for the follow-up. If someone says, well, Britten, I got a question. I want to know about this. If you answer that question, every time you give them a bit of information, you take away the need for your follow-up. You take away your ability for them to hear somebody else's story. Now, when we pass, we talked about this. Send the prospect specific information. Videos 1 and 2. Videos 1 and 3. Wellness and Success newsletter. Read this article here. Diamond Lifestyle video. I want you to see this guy, Barry Dalton. If you handle the Success from Home magazine, give them the magazine and say, please read the article about this guy or this specific article. Don't give them the whole magazine and say, here, read this. Because we got to tell them how long it's going to take for them to watch the video. We got to tell them how long it's going to take for them to do these things, because people's time is how they value whether they're going to do something or not. If they think it's going to be a 4 or 5 hour commitment worth of research and everything else, they're not going to do it because they're too busy for that. But we want to make sure it's in a manageable chunk, and we go chunk to chunk to chunk to chunk. It reminds me of one of my favorite things that I like. It's a training story I tell sometimes. But the question is, I like to ask is, how do you feed someone an elephant? Or how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is very, very simple. It's one bite at a time. You find out about Zija International, the business, the company, and everything else, one piece of information at a time, one phone call at a time. And as we progress through that, we see good things begin to happen. Now, the fortune's in the follow-up. That's where the plug comes in. If you do not follow up with your people, someone else will, and someone else will enroll them. Just because you gave someone a sample, just because you gave someone a magazine, just because you gave someone a newsletter, and you don't get back to them for 3 or 4 months, does not mean they are locked into you. You must be in the game. You have to be on top of things. Stay up with it. This process is an informational process. We're educating people. We're teaching them how Zija works. We're showing them what the products can do. It's education outright. And we have to make sure that through this process we get their questions answered. And we want them to become educated so that when we do invite them to get started, when we invite them to try the product, when we invite them to do this, that they are ready to go, they are comfortable with their decision, they make the decision, and they go. Now, when we plug someone in, so we're saying, hey, Michelle, have you had a chance to, Michelle, PIQUE and Pastor were set up for the follow-up at 10:45. We got my upline person lined up ready to talk to Michelle, so I'm going to call Michelle. Phone rings, Michelle answers. I'm like, hey, Michelle, how you doing? Maybe do the chit-chat. But we're going to be, this is business, so we're going to get to the point. Michelle, did you look at the information that I gave you? That's a yes or no question. Knowing the possibilities and the possible responses, when you know those things, it takes away doubt because it becomes very simple. It is something that can be solved. Very simple question, only 2 possible answers, yes or no. Now, in a non-perfect world, if they say no, then you have 2 options. You can say, well, okay, let's reschedule, which I usually reschedule. And I'll sit there and say, well, hey, can we talk? Can you watch those videos now? Well, yeah, I've got 15, 20 minutes. I said, well, great. I'll call you back in 30 minutes and we'll talk. If they can't do it, then reschedule. Now, sometimes if they say no, they haven't, I may still say, well, that's okay. That's fine. I know you're slightly interested. You know a little bit about what I do. What are you most interested in? And when they say that, I say, well, great, hang on just a second, and then bring on your upline person anyway. So they haven't looked at the information, but just tell your story, find out if they're, and then they can come on and find out if they're even open to looking at this seriously after hearing a quick story. But we're going to play perfect scenario, so we're going to get here, and I say, Michelle, have you looked at the information? And you go, she's going to say, yes, Brett, and I've looked at the information. And we'll say, what did you like best? Now pause. There's only 2 possible outcomes to this, yes or no. Yes, I liked the business. I liked the product. That's something that you can like, product or business. And then I say, what do you want to know more about? Well, I want to know how how we make more money. At any point in time, though, in this process, if somebody asks a question, we say, hang on a second, and then we bring on our expert, our ace, our pro, our upline person, our cross-team person, whoever's going to be telling their story and answering questions. If I have a guy that's over the age of 50 and in real estate, I might use somebody like Norm Rancourt, Ed Rancourt, Bill Park, somebody that I know that's a little bit older than me that's in that business because they've got a great story. But if I've got a stay-at-home mom, I might use Amanda Oliver, Jan Frazier. If I've got a businesswoman, I might use Kim Hogle. There's tons of people on our team that we can use for these. If you got a football coach, a teacher, and a coach, you use Terry Birdsong, Kevin Ray, or me. You got a lot of options that we can do that. But when you get to the plug, you got to stick to the follow-up. You got to stick to those questions. You look at the info. What do you like best? What do you want to know more about? If at any point in time they ask a question, then we bring on our expert. Now, this is something that's very, very important. A lot of people want to think they have to go to people and do this business, and then all of a sudden they think you're a door-to-door salesman. This is a business that is done over the phone. The phone allows you to convey your excitement. It allows you to convey your feelings. People can hear your tone. It is better than being there because you can't pull out your phone when somebody asks you a question and say, hang on a second, let me get that for you. And they're going to be like, what are you doing? Well, I'm calling somebody. Well, that's going to be awkward. But every one of us, if our friend puts us on call waiting on the phone, every one of us will wait. The 3-way call is the most powerful tool we have. Anybody on this webinar could go to work right now and you use anything except 3-way calls, and I will only use 3-way calls. I won't even use any tools. I will just use 3-way calls. And if we have a competition for 30 days only using 3-way calls, I will beat you, and I will beat you soundly as far as the number of people I can enroll or get on the product. It just brings a whole new validation to the business of what we can do and what we can do with it. When we get ready to introduce our upline prospect, always use Mr. and Mrs. Be respectful. Do the proper edification. You plug your prospect into an expert to hear their story and get their questions answered. You want to do that. You want to properly edify your expert. Well, Britten, what does edify mean? You want to make your prospect think that, they need to understand they're talking to someone that is successful, someone that is helping people, and someone that's important. Once you turn the call over to your expert, we do not interrupt. And once the three-way call is over, you're going to ask them, what's keeping you from getting started? Will you join my team? Those are key things. That invitation is hugely important. I always tell a story. When my wife and I got married, my brother-in-law lived about 3 miles from us. And every night that I was not on the road, I had dinner ready for me, Michelle, the kids at 7 o'clock. And I usually call him about 8 or 8:30, hey, what are you doing? And he'd gripe and complain about what he went and had Taco Bell, or he'd went and had some crap for dinner. And he was, kind of singing his dad's song about it. And I'd be like, dude, we have dinner every night at 7 o'clock. He's like, I know, but you didn't invite me over, so I didn't come. And there's people that go through the presentation, they go through three-way calls, they go through the entire process, and they never join because no one ever invites them to. So invite them to get started. Say, hey, what's going on? What do you need to know more about? What questions do you have? What's keeping you from getting started? And then you'll at least know what they need to be able to get to where they can make a decision. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is promoting to present and to present. And basically that is moving our folks to the next bit of information. If we say, hey, what's keeping you from getting started? Well, I need to know a little bit more about the comp plan. That's great. Tonight or tomorrow afternoon, we have a Project 5000 call at 10 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Time. Can you listen to a 15-minute call from your desk or in your car while you're going somewhere tomorrow? Yes, I can. Fantastic. And we get them plugged into that call. We get them plugged into the next thing. I want to know. I want to see a full presentation. I want to see how this thing's moved to people. Fantastic. Tonight at 9 o'clock, we have a webinar. It's one of our top presenters and trainers. Can you get to a computer at 9 o'clock and watch this presentation? You can. Fantastic. When we get people to the event, I'd like to taste the product. Fantastic. Thursday night at my house, I'm having some business partners over, some other people that are looking at this opportunity. We're going to look at some information. We're going to meet some people, and then I'm going to have product for you to taste. Can you come? Thursday night, can you be here at 7 o'clock? We have all kinds of opportunities to get people in front of the information. It might be you taking them to lunch and meeting a business partner for a one-on-one. It might be taking them to lunch and then just letting them meet somebody over the telephone. But the thing is, we got to get people in front of the information so that they can become educated and make a decision. Invite them to get started, because people don't join companies, they join you. People join you. It's your influence that brings them to take a look. It's your influence that makes them want to do this. We want to show them everything they know so they don't have any excuses about it. I had one of my personally enrolled guys that basically said, the calls were great, the videos were great, but what really made me want to do this is because I know you and I trust you. And that's great. But, like I said, sometimes you got to have more than that. Sometimes that's enough, but we want to make sure that our people are equipped when they come in to the company, they're equipped when they come in to do this. Lack of an invitation is number one reason people don't join, and the number two reason that people don't join is because you're not excited. Because they why would somebody want to join up with somebody that's ho hum and glum? It's Eeyore. You got to be up. They got to you got to be excited, because excitement is caught, not taught, and people are attracted to it. So that wraps up Peak Pass Plug, Invite, and Present. This is just getting started. Here's some additional resources. This video here tonight will be posted on the training resource for us. I've got a couple of more I'm going to do that I'm going to try to get posted on there for additional training resources here over the next few days, as soon as I get time to sit down at the computer and edit the website. So appreciate you all tonight. If anyone has any